All right, guys, welcome back to Bulls versus Bears. Today we're going to be talking about EPAM, and this is the chart we have for EPAM, and we're going to be back on this chart after we talk about it a little bit. So let's ask the biggest question we have right now about EPAM. Is it too late to buy EPAM? EPAM, biggest factor that it has going for it right now is the Russia-Ukraine war. And depending on how that war finishes, expect EPAM to be a stock being looked by many investors. EPAM is in the tech sector and in the software industry. We're going to rank EPAM with our Bulls versus Bears ranking system in our 5 categories: volatility, future, outlook, defensiveness, offensive, and value. So our first category is going to be volatility, the daily change in the stock. The volatility of EPAM on our Bull versus Bear scale is 2 out of 10. We gave EPAM a 2 out of 10 on our scale because not a lot of events are going to have this stock moving up and down more than 5% a day. Our first factor is the Russia-Ukraine war. If Putin ends his attack on the Ukraine, EPAM can see a massive uptick on the first day the war is called off or ends. On the other hand, I do not see how we can have a volatile side to the Bears, as the only way the war can get worse is if it goes nuclear. And if that happens, all stocks are doomed anyway. Our second category is going to be future, which is the 1-year outlook to where the stock ends. On our Bull versus Bear scale, we rate EPAM a 7 out of 10 with a possibility of being an 8 out of 10. EPAM has a good outlook on its future if the Ukraine and Russia war finishes, as we spoke about in the previous category. EPAM has a stable revenue coming from its 11 divisions. First is retail and consumer division, where EPAM works with Reebok, Burberry, and Procter & Gamble with other companies. Then is financial services division, where EPAM has their own online banking service. Next is their media and entertainment division, which works with companies such as Fastweb, UPC, and Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite. EPAM also has a business information service, software and high-tech division, travel and hospitality division, where it works with Southwest and Hotels.com, a life science and healthcare division, energy and utilities, automotive and manufacturing, and even insurance. With these 11 branches of income, EPAM has a fabulous outlook to its future. Next is defensive, which is how the stock holds up against the market. EPAM scores a 5 out of 10 on our Bulls versus Bears scale. Since EPAM is a tech stock, the Fed still have an impact on the stock. And if the Fed keeps raising its rates until the end of the year, EPAM wouldn't be the best defensive stock. Our next factor for EPAM is how necessary is the stock. As we went over, EPAM has 11 divisions that makes this stock extremely necessary in the Americas and also in Europe. Now, the necessity doesn't mean that it's necessary for us to stay alive, but the necessity of this stock staying defensive, which is why we gave EPAM a 5 out of 10 on our Bulls versus Bears scale. Our fourth category is offensiveness, which is the stock profitability in 1 year and growth. On our Bulls versus Bears scales, we gave EPAM a 5 out of 10. With the possibility of the war ending and the Fed rates ending in 2023, EPAM can have a jump going into the new year. EPAM also is committing $100 million to support its employees in the Ukraine, which is $100 million being used now, but when the nation is out of war and thriving again, could be $100 million back in EPAM pockets. EPAM also has 30 acquisitions, where its biggest acquisitions are in the Ukraine and Russia. EPAM also does not pay a dividend, which is why it's only a 5 out of 10 on its offensive rating, because there's still a 50-50 chance if the war will be over in 2023. Our last and least category for EPAM today is its value, which we gave a 3 out of 10 on our Bulls versus Bears scale. The value of EPAM is the least important for this stock because as a tech stock, most of its value is evaluated for what it can achieve in the future. Most tech stocks have a high gross valuation just because of what people believe what it can do 5 to 10 years from now. With EPAM's PE ratio, enterprise value, and PB ratio all being way off the charts, EPAM does not have a good valuation for right now. Now let's go to the charts. All right, guys. So now we're on the charts. This is EPAM, a stock that was as high as 725 and dropped down to as low as 168. So now that we're on the chart of EPAM, let's talk about the first thing, the big drop that it did. From 725 to 168, what happened? So when the Russia-Ukraine war started, EPAM, basically that was its number one, number twos, as we talked about, of employees, of profit, of everything they had going for it. So with that war happening, EPAM took a drop from 725 in mid-November all the way down to 168 in the middle of March. So with that drop, that made EPAM a hot stock, top stock to buy. As you see this orange line I have for EPAM over here, this is when I had EPAM going upwards, trending upwards. Its bottom was higher than its last bottom, so I thought EPAM was going to just continue advancing until the war started. So this is also why I have this line down here of after the drop. Basically, EPAM's second low was not as low as the first low as we have here. So with that showing, I drew a trend line to see if it could continue advancing, and this is where I bought it, and to continue to see how far it could go. And as you see, EPAM went from March 28th, and it continued a good trend upward until it broke through in around mid-June. So with that breakthrough EPAM did, it basically hit a 78.6 Fibonacci retracement. So with this Fibonacci retracement that we have here, as we see, it's never went under it since it passed it. This little thing, but that bracket, that's just a little hiccup. But it never went under the 78.6. So this is our new hard end line. I forgot what they call it, but this is our new hard end line that we have for EPAM at 78.6. So even though we have this trend line going upward, this is my new bottom. If EPAM goes under 274.68, goes under, technically it did, let's say if it goes under 260. EPAM goes under 260, that will definitely be a mark that the war probably took a turn for the worse. Because as we have now with the Fed speaking and how it's increasing its rates another 75, we have EPAM going under our trend line, but it's at the 61.8 mark here now. So for it to reach all the way back $100 down, that's a big hiccup. Even the Fed rate, as we said, the Fed rate is only second impact for the EPAM. The war is the biggest impact. So this could be our new bottom at 61.8. We're going to see how it goes with the Fed rates and how the war is advancing, and definitely going into October, November, if EPAM could hold this 370 mark, this will probably be another buy option, another buy that we could do here for it to keep advancing and see if it could break through our trend line again. So that's it, guys, for EPAM. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. If you want me to talk about Fibonacci, talk about how we do trend lines, even if you want to understand what these little red and green bars are, definitely put it in the comments. I could definitely do a video for these, and let me know the next stock you want me to talk about. All right, thank you.